So, and let me show you this thing. This has got a lot of work in it. Feels really heavy. It's oversized because Hansen is oversized. The guy's like 7'4". His hands are twice as large as mine. So I didn't want to make him something that made him feel weird. You know, some weird little tool that he wouldn't be comfortable with. Since it's going all the way to Norway, I wanted to take enough time to make it really nice. Okay, and I wanted to show you how precision that is. It just rolls right now. The problem with maple compared to rosewood is it's not naturally oily. It's very dry and has a tendency to warp and cup and take in moisture and let out moisture. So I had to seal this with Formby's. He also lives right on the ocean, so I had to use stainless steel hardware to make sure the darn thing wouldn't corrode. And also maple is soft, okay? So I couldn't have the hinge plates right up against it like I could on the rosewood. Rosewood's super dense and oily, so you could slide back and forth a million times before it wore out. With this, it would just chowder this thing up. So I don't know if you can see, but I had to recess, make little recesses, and use nylon bushings to isolate the maple from the aluminum. Same on here. Okay. Plus, when you have stainless and aluminum in contact with each other in an area where there's salt in the air, it corrodes right away. It's not good at all. And another thing I noticed is that when you close this, I'm going to see if I can show you the right angle, but as you close this, it's very difficult to get this just so you'll be able to see it, but as you close it, this part of the bottom part of the crimp is going to want to hit this first, so I had to bevel this. Think of it as a feed ramp, like on a 1911. I had to bevel the feed ramp so that as the shell goes in, it doesn't walk out. Because I was testing it, and I'm like, you know, I know this is a nice precise fit and a nice precise hole, and I've got the same spacing that I've got on all my other cutters, but it was making the shell spiral. So as I was turning it, it would just spiral out, and it would only cut like 2/3 of the way, and then it wouldn't cut. And I'm like, what the heck? So I started looking at it really closely and figured it out. It's the geometry of it. The fit is so tight, there's no room for the shell to wiggle or move and accommodate that. So as this closes, I'm trying to find the angle that'll show you. It clears the crimp and keep it pressed in place. And you hear that little click that's going through the plastic. And then you don't rotate it in one big circle. You wiggle it back and forth, back and forth. You go a little bit one way, you go a little bit the other way, and that keeps it from spiraling. That was the issue I was having. And then, when it cuts all the way through, it didn't do it. I didn't twist it enough. See, this is the issue I've been having with it. But you can get a perfect cut with this thing. You just got to keep working at it. I don't have my technique down, but if you do it a little bit to either side like that until you hear the click, it comes out and it makes just an absolutely gorgeous cut. Look at that thing. Follows the power piston perfectly. I'm going to do one more cut just to show that I'm not a total doofus. Basically, you put it in there, you hold the shell so that it stays where it's supposed to, you know. You bring it in, squeeze it until you hear that crimp, and with it pushed in this way, back and forth, a little bit each way, so you're cutting each side of it. Eventually you'll hear the little click. There we go. Now it should just come out and be a perfect, beautiful cut. It's much, much harder to make these, to do really precisely, than it is to make them slightly oversized. They work fine, slightly oversized, but the more precise and the more tight and everything is, tiny little variations make a huge difference. And as you can see, the little bevel feed ramp also makes it much easier to extract because it's not pinched up against the blade. And you can also see the blade is much lower than on the affordable shot sheller. So this precision, super high precision one, is kind of a pain in the ass to make. I've been fiddling with it for about half an hour this morning. It took me quite a while to make it. So you can see that there's kind of a bevel there. This fits up perfectly in there. See the little click. You gotta keep pressing it down the whole time so it doesn't walk out. I don't know why, they're such a pain. You hear that little click? That means it's done. And then you can extract your shell, leave all the shot right in there. And this time I did it right, see? It's like a new tool, so I'm trying to learn how to do it. It's a really nice cut. The shot fills it up. And then it's easy to remove. So, this is a real pain to make, but this is like the most precise one I've made yet. It's just had more work to it because it's a different material. It's not as stable as the rosewood. It's not as dense. It's not as oily, so I had to figure out how to make use of this. In a lot of ways, I think the affordable shot shell things are hell of a lot easier to use. I mean, you just put the thing in there, clip it, twist it a little bit, open it, rotate it, clip it, twist it a little bit, and bam, you're done. You got a nice cut. And this super precise hole, which I thought was going to be, you know, making everything better, seems to be making it, you know, at least for the maker, for me, the producer of the tool, it's making it much, much harder to get just right. You hear that little noise? That's the wood feed ramp hitting that crimp. Now the blade has just touched the plastic, but it wants to kind of push it out. So you have to hold the shell in there firmly. Now that's the click that makes that you know that it's cut it. Now if I were just to try and twist it now, it would walk out and I get a spiral cut. So I have to go back and forth while I push it in. Now because the maple is soft and the hole is tight, this shell, because it's ridged, is actually kind of enlarging the hole just a little bit as I go along. So the more I cut shells with this thing, the nicer it spins. When I first started this morning, about a half hour ago, the damn thing was really hard to rotate. It was, I mean, really hard to rotate. And Hanson's hands hurt, you know, like arthritis kind of hurt. So I don't want to make the thing a total pain in the ass for him to use. So that's why I've been cutting some shells with it and kind of breaking it in a little bit. You can see the wear marks. See the wear marks that the shell, you can hear that sound? That's how tight the thing is fitting in there. So I don't really know if this making them super tight is such a great idea for the average user or for the average maker like me. If I want to make these things fast, man, I can't spend a half hour breaking in each one. But you can hear it ridging around in there. So it's starting to work better and better. The more the tool gets used, the better it works, which is a good thing. I might have to dial that back just a little bit more, make a little bit more of an angle there so it doesn't hit, or maybe just round the lip or something because I can hear it touching the plastic. That's where it starts to touch the plastic, and that's still not what I want. And then a click. That's the plastic getting cut. And back and forth. So my camera has a 10-minute limit, I see. So it cut itself off. You didn't get to see it, but I didn't change anything. I'm just still working it just like I did before the camera cut off. Now it's all the way through. You can feel it's easy now. When it spins nice and easy, it's done. Makes a nice cut. Traps all the shot. So I didn't mean to make this into an epic video, but this is probably the nicest one of these that I've made, or at least the one I've worked on the most and learned the most from. I learned a lot about the geometry of it, and for instance, there's a little bit of play in these hinges, which means by loosening these screws, the top block, or whichever one block, can slide a little bit forward or a little bit back. It makes a huge difference in how it operates. And so that can be adjusted slightly. And the way it was rubbing when I first just test fitted it together, it was rubbing on the maple. I could see it was going to wear it out. So then I had to take it apart, reshape these sides. I had to use a little tiny Forstner bit, the diameter of one of these nylon washers, and I had to drill in there to get it to be perfectly, because I didn't want these hinges being pulled out. The hinges aren't under any pressure. They are perfectly straight. So I had to get that right. So first I drilled the hole. Then I reshaped the sides so that there'd be that little tiny 30-second gap. That's a 30-second on each side. So that no matter how many times this thing is opened or closed, it'll never rub or wear. You can see it's very, very tight too. As you can see, it's a very tight fit. And the nylon is the only part that's making contact now. Nylon to metal. There's no wood to metal, which is good. And had to bevel the feed ramp. Had to work it with many shot shells. I've done about 15 or 20 shot shells now. Just working it, making sure it's right, because even though I didn't get any extra money for this one, I just, you know, I've had Hansen following my work for years, and I kind of know his situation, and I know he probably needs something special. So I took a little time and I picked out a real nice looking piece and just spent a little extra time on it. But something like this, I definitely don't see making too many of these, because it's a lot of work. But I did want to show it to you guys, to show you just how complicated this simple device really is. It's ridiculous, the geometry of it and how everything works and everything, and getting it to work just right and everything was a lot more fiddly and finicky than I thought. Well, that's about it for videos today. I got lots of stuff to do, and so this thing will take about 6 hours to upload, so that means no more videos today. And hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed looking at this nice piece. It's going to Norway. Piece of Norwegian wood now, man. It's going to a Norwegian. Thanks, Hansen, and enjoy.